everybody. Welcome to the Sports Hub podcast presented by Van Ganaway Chevrolet. I'm your host, Kyle Coppola. Thanks for joining us today. Want to thank our presenting sponsor, Van Ganaway Chevrolet, Lake Center Home Care, Lake Sumter State College, and Laster Wear with Auto Owners Insurance. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast as well, which is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, among many other sites. Today, I get the privilege of talking to Gary Wayne, the owner of Family Martial Arts Center in Mount Dora, Florida. Gary, thank you for coming on to the program.
Kyle, great to be here. Pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, we're going to have a great talk with you. You got some exciting things going on, but for people who don't know you, what do you offer? And of course, you're in mixed or martial arts. What does that entail, and what's your business?
Okay, I'm the chief master instructor and the owner of the Family Martial Arts Center in Mount Dora. And if you're a person in Mount Dora and you grew up in Mount Dora, you know that I've been around for quite some time because I've been here for well over 30 years. We teach Taekwondo, and our student body consists of, we take students as young as 3, sounds incredible but true, and all the way up to there is no limit. So we teach a stand-up style called Taekwondo at our school.
And you've been in the area since 1981 since 1995. You've been doing martial arts since 1981. So you've seen a lot of change in the industry. Over your time in the industry, what changes have you seen?
Okay, to give you kind of a calendar of where I started and where I am now. All right, my first class was January 3rd, 1971. That was a long time ago. And I got black belt in 75, and I became a certified instructor in 1981. So I started martial arts in the Bruce Lee era, when Bruce Lee was a worldwide phenomenon at that time. And then it's gone all the way to present day. So I've seen just about everything there is to see in martial arts with regards to change and growth. That's why I'm here today to talk to you.
Yeah, and you're here today, and we're going to have lots to talk about. You've had it took you 10 years to get your black belt, just about from 71, I guess you got, to become a teacher in 81.
Right.
So it took you 10 years. That's quite a long time to reach teacher status because, teachers, you get your bachelor's or master's, 4 to 8 years, you become a teacher.
Right.
It took you 10 years to get to eventually become a teacher. What kind of work ethic had to go in to become a teacher and where you're at today?
Well, I'm a certified instructor, and in order to be in traditional Taekwondo, which is what I learned in traditional Taekwondo, in order to be a certified instructor, you had to be at least a second decided black belt. Mm-hmm. And a black belt journey is anywhere from 4 to 5 years, and then second dan is like 2 years after that, and then you have to be an apprentice. And you have to go through formal instructor training for like 2 or 3 years. So then that's kind of basic your 10-year window. Mm-hmm. So in 1981, I was certified. And in 1995, I was certified as a master instructor. So that's a significant amount of time and energy. Now, to answer your question, I was addicted to martial arts. I went to school every day, took 2 and 3 classes. I became a competitor. I became a junior instructor. My whole adult life has revolved around, at least in most parts, in martial arts.
What I think is so cool too is and especially about your family martial arts center, is that you train kids from about 3 years old all the way up until who knows? I don't know how old your oldest that you teach currently.
Right now, I believe my oldest is 58-ish. Although I've had many students over the years that in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s. So.
What are your favorite teaching techniques? Because there's a lot. We were talking before we came on about a lot of different teaching styles.
Right.
What is there any teaching style in martial arts that is better?
Well, I would classify it like this: is that martial arts is one word and encompasses 1,000 different things, really. Okay, so if you want to break it down in simplistic terms, there's hard styles, which is what we are. So Taekwondo is a hard style. It's a stand-up style. Karate, Muay Thai kickboxing, even regular boxing. Those are all hard styles. And what that means is in order for me to do anything to you, then I have to physically block, kick, and punch. There's not much grabbing in hard styles. And everything I do is based on a straight line. So it's like point A to point B kind of philosophy. Mm-hmm. So even something that's curved in hard styles appears to is really based on a straight line. It sounds strange. You have to be in it to understand it, I guess. And then there's soft styles like Tai Chi, Kung Fu, where their style is based on a circle. So I defend, block, and attack, also based on a circle. So deflection, as opposed to a hard style, I would stop your punch. In a soft style, I would redirect your punch. That's simplistic, but that's basically the way they do it. But most, not to my knowledge, I can't think of any soft styles that grapple or wrestle. So that's reserved for like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or MMA or Judo, where I have to physically grab you and manipulate you, either standing or on the ground, in order to either get you submit or hurt you. And there's some strikes in that too. Obviously in MMA, it's kind of a combination of things, you know. So, but there is some striking in that. And there's some other ones that we could talk about. So the answer to your question is, what I tell students is, you don't choose the style, choose the instructor. Because I could be the best Taekwondo practitioner in the world, but if I'm a terrible instructor, you're not going to enjoy my class. You know, where this person over here is teaching Kung Fu. You don't really know anything about Kung Fu, but you love the instructor. So if you love the instructor, you're in the right place at the right time. So is one better than another? No. What's better, football, baseball, or basketball? You know, I don't know. There isn't any better. Maybe you love basketball. Maybe you love, it doesn't, you see where I'm going with that?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I encourage people, if they're interested in martial arts, it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. It's personality-driven. So go to schools, watch your class, take an intro class, and choose where you're going based on the instructor, not the style. That's the advice I give all my students.
Which is cool too, because we were talking again before we came on. You were telling me you've had coaches in the past, and I've had a couple of different high school football coaches.
Right.
And neither coach taught the same way, and I guess that's very similar to what you guys on the Taekwondo side and martial arts side would have.
Well, I'll give you one example of that. Okay, when I started in 1971, I was 12, okay? And I'd seen the Bruce Lee movies, okay? So I got inspired through film, specifically, not just him, but it was the genre at the time. So I started martial arts, and I couldn't beat my way out of a paper bag. I was not flexible. I was not strong. I didn't know anything about martial arts, and I was clumsy. Well, I had two instructors. I had a man by the name of Sonny Sanders, and he was an instructor at the school, and another black belt, his name was Clyde Underhill. See, I still remember their names. And during class, they spent time with me. They showed me how to do things. They explained things. They were very patient. And they inspired me, because I thought, here's these grown men that are real obvious, and they're black belts, and they're instructors. And they must see something in me, because they're spending all this extra time with me. So if I had to say where my journey started, that was it, because I had the feeling that they believed in me. So you got to have an instructor that first knows the curriculum and cares about you and spend time with you, but most importantly, inspires you. Because if you don't inspire your students, they're never going to go anywhere. That applies to everything. And everybody that coaches anything, and everybody that teaches anything. It's kind of a universal law of teaching.
And the way that you've taught have allowed kids to go and compete at tournaments. I mean,
yes.
You've competed in many tournaments. Do you remember your first tournament?
Oh, heck yeah. Absolutely. I won, I sparred, I lost my first match, but that was it, because I had won a martial arts fighting match. I lost the second, but that didn't make any difference. Highlights, if you want to hear them. In 1974 and 75, I was junior national champion in Taekwondo and fighting at 14 and 15.
Wow.
At 16, I was ranked third in the state of Kentucky in adult fighting. I was fighting adult men at 16. And in 1979, when I was 20, I was the USA fighting champion in Taekwondo. I won that award in Des Moines, Iowa. And in 1980, I was the forum champion. So I've done a lot of but that's just it. I had a great career, but it's so much more fun teaching people to do it.
Why do you like teaching?
That's awesome.
More than doing it.
That's awesome. I get the thrill of watching my students compete, and whether they win or not, it's not, because what I tell them, I said, it's not about the medal. It has nothing to do with the medal. What it has to do is, are you willing to work hard to be the best you can be? And if you go to a tournament and you compete and you really worked hard and that's the best you can with what you got, that's a gold medal. It doesn't matter what they put around your neck. It's the feeling you get when you know you could have done better, but you didn't because you knew deep down you didn't work hard enough. So they work really, really, really hard, And we've been successful. We've been successful in tournaments, but more specifically, that my style of Taekwondo, they're also tournament specific to style. So there's tournaments that are just Taekwondo, nobody else. And there's tournaments that are just karate, and nobody else. And there's tournaments that are just like kung fu, nobody else. And that's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I've competed in plenty of those. But I chose to take my students to compete in USA Sport Karate. And I would strongly recommend, I have no affiliation with them other than I go and compete. It's an outstanding organization. It's the best referees and the best run tournaments I've ever been in. And it's open to all styles.
That's cool.
So I train my students. So you're competing against everybody. We compete against the best karate schools and the best Taekwondo schools and the best Tang Soo Do schools, even Chinese stylists. Everybody's can come and compete. So what I tell my students is that we don't have any teddy bear black belts here. I'm going to train you good enough where you can win against all styles. And we've done that. And last year in USA Sport Karate, this is just last year, we had four state and national champions from my school.
Wow.
4.
That's awesome.
One was an adult man. His name was Chris Henry, and that was in traditional weapons. A second was Nathan Kellum. He's 18 years old in forms. One was Ileana Aponte, who did her second state and national championship in a row, and she's 10 years old.
Wow.
In extreme forms. And Avari Comer, who at 6 years old was state and national champion in traditional weapons, and second in forms. And last year she was second in forms and was almost state and national champion at 5.
Wow.
And that doesn't count the other children that competed and finished in the top 5.
That's amazing. A lot of cool stuff he's got going on. We got to take a short break. We'll come right back. More Gary Wayne right after this on the Sports Hub.
Thanks.
Are you in need of a new car or truck? Then zoom into Van Genaway Chevrolet, a company that has always been driven by superior customer service. Van Genaway Chevrolet is your hometown good folk Chevrolet dealer. The dealership has helped generations of Lake County families find the perfect car, truck, or SUV. After 37 years and thousands of Chevrolets sold, Van Genaway has learned a lot about their customers. They don't want to be pressured, and they don't need a gimmick or giveaway. They just want fair prices and a great overall car buying experience. If you've had bad experiences purchasing automobiles elsewhere, then switch gears and try Van Genaway Chevrolet. Chances are you'll end up being a part of the ever-growing family of satisfied and loyal customers. Check out Van Genaway Chevrolet at vgchevy.com or call them today at 352-343-2400. Van Genaway Chevrolet. Find new roads. Hey, everybody, we're back on the Sports Hub podcast. I'm Kyle Coppola talking with Gary Wayne, and he's the owner of Family Martial Arts Center in Mount Dora, Florida. And Gary, I wanted to talk about how has martial arts impacted your life outside of the dojo?
What I talk to my students about is that, and I always start with this, is that I want you guys to know, and you already know this, but I'm gonna put it out there for you, that if you meet me outside, that I'm in Walmart or whatever, and you come up to me, I'm exactly the same person. I don't change in here. I'm not the master instructor and teaching all these principles and aspects, et cetera, et cetera. And then when you're outside, I'm somebody completely different, because the same person I am on the outside, I am in here. So the principles of martial arts are a lifestyle. So that's really what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. If you're really into martial arts, it's not. It can be a hobby, and it's wonderful to be a hobby. To me, it's a lifestyle, because there's philosophies of martial arts. Forget kicking, punching, and all that stuff. And those philosophies melted down are courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, and indomitable spirit. And there's no way that you can navigate martial arts without them, because sooner or later, the kind of person that you become has to be developed physically, mentally, and spiritually. And the spiritual context does not have a religious connotation. I mean, it can, and some schools do, and that's fine. A spiritual concept is really more about understanding where you fit in, can I say, the universe? Mm-hmm. Because time is precious. Eventually, we're going to run out, and you're going to have to decide how you spend your time. So you're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. You're not standing still. And in martial arts, if you don't improve, you're going to be left in the dust by your classmates, and that requires a lot of mental fortitude because you're going to have to push through all kinds of obstacles. So there's the life lesson. You tell me in your life what thing you do in life that doesn't require those abilities, because that's great for children. Mm-hmm. Because if they grow up in martial arts, I'll just give an example for me. Okay, because I started really young. I got my black belt when I was 15 in tournaments, and I got second dan when I was 20. Okay, so when I went to college and I started to study at college, I thought, well, college is easy. Getting a black belt was hard. Oh man, that was tough. I mean, I had to go through all this, and it's intellectually challenging because you have to learn sophisticated principles of technique and forms, and it goes on and on and on. So when I was in college and things got hard, which they did, and I took classes which were hard, but quit was not in my option. Mm-hmm. Because in martial arts you can't quit.
Right.
There is no quitting, and it's not Cobra Kai. That's not what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. What I'm talking about is what I tell students, frustration is a great feeling because what it means is that you can do it, you just can't do it yet. And that's where frustration comes from. If you didn't care about it, if you couldn't do it, it doesn't affect you in any way.
These kids that get frustrated, what's your advice to them? Like, not everybody's going to be perfect, and not everybody's going to be the perfect student. You can only teach them what you know, and then it's up to them kind of to follow the teachings. For those who get frustrated or easily, what is your advice to them?
Well, slow progress is still progress. Mm-hmm. So you can't monitor if you're getting better or not on how fast you feel you're progressing. So this is, in my opinion, another law of the universe, okay? So you come in and you start stretching or you start kicking and you start punching. You don't notice any difference. You feel like you're running in mud. It feels like nothing's changing. So every time you come to class, every single time is like putting a brick in a wall, okay? How long before you get a wall? I don't know. That's a lot of bricks. I mean, you can't build a house, by just putting a few bricks, and it just doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. So if you're patient and you don't give up, that's the key. If you're patient and don't give up, you have to become better, because all a black belt is a white belt that didn't quit. All I am is a black belt. I'm a black belt because I'm a white belt and I never quit. That's it. If you started today as a white belt and never quit, one day you would be a black belt.
Wow. How quick can you become a black belt? Like, what's the quickest you've ever seen a student come through your program and be like, okay, I'm a black belt? Because it took you quite a while to become a black belt.
Well, okay, first of all, black belt is subjective, mm-hmm. and it's defined different in different schools and different styles. I'll tell you what I think the norm is. What I think the norm is, if you're of average ability and you're due diligent in practice, you can realistically look at black belt in about 4 years, plus or minus 6 months, okay? If you're super due diligent, which is what I was, I came every day, 2 or 3 classes a day. I got mine in 2.5 years. That's just about the fastest. The fastest person I know of got a legit black belt that's like everybody acknowledges was a man named Joe Louis. He's not the boxer of years gone by. He was a real famous martial artist. He died many years ago, but he got his black belt in Okinawan karate, which is that's 7 years at best. He got it in 18 months, and he got it in Okinawa. So, but he's the exception. He's like the top of the Christmas tree, so to speak. Yeah. So you got to be careful about your school's standards for black belt too, because you don't waste your time in things in a school that just does it as a business model and not a lifestyle.
What's the difference between, because you have kids that you teach that are like 3 years old and all the way up to
Right.
50 something years old. What's the difference between teaching maybe kids compared to adults? Because there has would there be a difference? He laughs as far as his philosophies go, but you seem to be the same person outside as you're inside with sparring sessions and stuff like that. How does that develop?
Okay, the condensed version is we teach to the age and the ability of the person. So if you're dealing with children, this is all rough, by the way, but 3 to 5, 3 to 6, I call it martial arts edutainment. How do kids like to learn? Games. So we take the traditional curriculum, we shrink it down, we put it into games with some serious stuff in there too. We kind of mix it in, kind of slide it in on them. And then we grow them into the traditional program, okay? So then when they get to be that age, 6 to 11 or 12, they're now in a traditional program. But remember, they're still children, we're supposed to teach them about life. Mm-hmm. So when we get to that point, and even in the beginning, the real goal, the real success equation for kids in martial arts is to teach them how to focus. So my question to you is, anybody ever taught you how to focus?
Well,
Have they specifically taught you?
Specifically taught me, well, definitely in college for sure.
Well, that's way too late.
That's
way too late.
But parents tried to knock that into my brain. But yeah.
Okay, I'll teach when I tell it to you, you'll know it forever. Okay, because the first thing they learn when they come into school is you focus your eyes, then you focus your mind, then you focus your body in that order. Focus your eyes first. Okay, once your eyes are focused, your eyes will tell your brain this is important. So listen. So then your brain kicks into gear, and you focus your mind, focus your eyes, then focus your body. You have to put your body in a position that's conducive to learning, which is standing up straight, hands behind your back, at full attention. They have attention in the military for a reason. Stand at attention for a reason, because that's as focused as you can be. And if you learn the principles of focus, you apply them to everything. So the real gem that they take away from our school well into their life is, if I teach you how to focus and that's all you get out of the program, I just hopefully have enhanced your life a great deal, because when you get to a situation which requires focus, you don't have to think about how to do it. Now, that may sound like it doesn't work and that's like, book learning. But I'm telling you, any of my students, if you ask them that question, they'll spit that out. Focus your eyes, focus your mind, focus your body. Sir, that's how I get them to traditional. And then once they're in that mode, then it's all traditional after that.
Who taught you that? Where did you learn your all of that from? Is it just teachings in martial arts, or
I had nobody. I was not specifically told the rules of focus. I, generally speaking, was well focused from the beginning. Mm-hmm. Okay, but the first time I heard it was from a martial arts instructor. Her name is Melody Schumann. She's real famous in my arena. Okay, and I took a seminar from her in Atlanta, Georgia, in 1995. And that was the first time I ever heard those words. And my school changed after that moment. Changed completely. I went from being a part-time instructor and teaching at YMCAs to having a full-time academy with a student base based on that one principle.
What does it mean to you when you see kids kind of succeed and graduate from your program? You never truly graduate, I suppose, but it has to feel good to have this in Lake County. I mean, it's kind of really cool to have it.
Well, this is why I'm an instructor, because it's easy. That's an easy explanation of why I'm doing it, is because I live for when the light comes on. I live for that moment. Now, remember what I said about is, as long as you don't quit, mm-hmm. Okay? As long as you don't quit, eventually the light comes on. And I know when it happens. I can tell you, I know when it happens. And I've had students for years and years and years struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle. And then one day the light comes on and they're like completely different. And they go from being, not very good to mediocre to average to excellent to black belts.
Wow.
And they do that when they're children. So if you go back and, when they're 12 and 13, everybody leaves, first of all. Mm-hmm. If you stay, you end up becoming me. So what I'm supposed to do as an instructor is to give you those skills so when you walk out my door, your life you're prepared, and it'll be infinitely better with the principles you learned, not the techniques.
Looking forward to because it's an evolving door, much like any sport,
Right.
The sport of martial arts. What do you view the future as martial arts?
This is what if I had a magic wand and I could have anything that I want with regards to martial arts, okay, it would be that everybody at least give it a try. That's it. It's like rhubarb pie. Have you ever eaten rhubarb pie?
I haven't.
You have no idea what I'm talking about, do you? So you don't know. It may be the best thing you've ever eaten in your whole life. But since you've never eaten it, you don't know. So a lot of people have this idea of martial arts being, MMA, and it's too violent and I don't want to get hit, or it's too complicated, or I'm too old, or I'm not physically strong enough, or I don't have pick something. Give me a reason, okay? The reason is why you walk in the door. Is because if you have these personal deficiencies and whatever they are, they can be anything. The answer to most, not all, because it can't be, the answer to most, rely in action and actively seek out the things that can help you with those things, help you to overcome things that are dogging you and accentuate the positives of what traits you already have. That's the very definition of martial arts. So if I had a magic wand, that would be it. Just try any style, not just me. If you want to come to my school, that's great. But I would strongly encourage everybody to at least try it once, just to see.
What and obviously you're wearing your robes here today. What what is that on your shirt right there? That's
just
the patch right there.
That's the patch that says our style. It's people that know anything about Taekwondo know what I'm talking about. I teach a Chung Do Kwan style of Taekwondo. That's a specific style of Taekwondo. That's the Korean symbols and some other stuff, and this is my name. So it's cool about martial arts because you get to wear cool patches, and have like cool Oriental writing and stuff.
Yeah, it's really
belt.
unique.
Yeah.
It's a lot different than a lot of other sports where you just get these robes and everything like that. So a lot of people have would imagine their robes for a long time.
Well, we call them dobak.
Dobak.
In karate, they call it a gi, but I understand what you mean. And you get really attached. Like I'm really attached to my uniform and my belt because it's a huge part of my life.
And how are kids able to get involved with your program?
Give us a call. We're number one on Google search, Family Martial Arts Center in Mount Dora, Florida. Or give us a call, 352-383-0898. We'll set you up with if you call because of this program, free intro.
That's awesome.
Because I normally charge for that, okay? A free intro, all you got to do is mention this.
There you go. Mention the video, free intro for Gary Wayne. Gary, I want to thank you for coming on the program. Very insightful. And you have any final words you want to talk about?
Yes, do or not do. There is no try.
There you go.
Either do it or don't do it. I strongly suggest doing it.
Definitely do it. Give it a try. Gary, thank you so much for coming on our program. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Kyle.
All right, we'll come back and wrap up next on the Sports Hub. Are you ready for your future to take flight? Whether you're graduating high school or looking to level up, Lake Sumter State College offers affordable degrees and certificates that will punch your ticket to success in a rewarding career. Plus, with programs like Direct Connect to UCF, your opportunities with LSSC are endless. So, what are you waiting for? Join us in Leesburg, Claremont, Sumterville, Four Corners, or online. Learn more at lssc.edu. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Sports Hub Podcast. Want to thank Gary Wayne with Family Martial Arts Center in Mount Dora for coming on. Appreciate you coming on the program.
My pleasure,
Gary.
Kyle. Thank you.
Awesome. I want to thank our sponsors, Van Ganaway Chevrolet, Lake Center Home Care, Lake Sumter State College, and Lassiter Wear with Auto Owners Insurance. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast, which is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and other sites. And make sure to check out lakeandsumterstyle.com in our Sports Hub section for more information. Well, we'll see you next week on the Sports Hub Podcast. Appreciate you watching.